Jordyn Tyson is out indefinitely for the Sun Devils, but they can still ride their offense to wins in the postseason.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins, because at FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Victory Monday, but it's a little different because normally where we would be celebrating, we have bigger news to talk about. So we are pushing off our usual Victory Monday episode to Tuesday because today we got some really bad news, and that is that star receiver Jordyn Tyson will be out, quote, indefinitely, according to head coach Kenny Dillingham, after suffering some kind of upper body injury against U of A in a big-time win in the Territorial Cup. I'm not a doctor. I am also not even remotely smart enough to understand sports medicine or how to treat certain injuries. Some people said it was a collarbone injury. He left the game, came back towards the end of the game in a sling. He obviously was out of pads. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's a collarbone thing. I don't know if maybe he hurt his elbow. He definitely came down really hard on his arm. My initial thought was maybe an elbow or a forearm injury. People are saying collarbone. I don't know. Kenny Dillingham also did not give us specifics. All that we know is he is out indefinitely, which means a minimum of this game coming up against Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. So we got a lot of questions, and we got to know, what happens now? What's the plan for Saturday? Should we worry about short-term or long-term? We're going to talk about all of that, but we got to start with JT's out right now. What do we do? Well, here's the good thing. ASU still has an offense in place to be able to get by while Jordyn Tyson is on the mend. Losing Tyson is a massive blow. I cannot understate that. You just lost your top receiver and one of the best receivers the Sun Devils have had in the last several years. He has had the most productive season a Sun Devils receiver has had in the last 7-ish years. Going back to 2019 was the last time they had a 1,000-yard receiver. And you could argue that Tyson's season this year is better than Brandon Ayuk's season that year. This is a massive blow. You can't think of many other injuries that would derail a potential postseason run for the Sun Devils the way that this Jordyn Tyson injury could. But you still have guys. And most notably, you still have Cam Skattebo. And as long as the people's running back, as we dub him here on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, is in that backfield, ASU has a chance. Skattebo has put together a Heisman Trophy campaign this year. It's been so overlooked by the mainstream media. And don't get me wrong, he is getting some attention, but it's not nearly the attention that he deserves. Almost 1,400 rushing yards, another 468 receiving yards. Was it 19 total touchdowns? 19 total touchdowns, and he missed a game. Skattebo has been one of the best kept secrets in college football this year. He's been the best running back in the Big 12. He's been no worse than one of the 5 best running backs in the country. Again, he missed a game, and he's still doing all of this. He's a monster. As long as he's in that backfield, ASU's got a chance to contend every single week. He has back-to-back 3-touchdown games. He literally has won games for Arizona State this year by putting the team on his back. He's the bell cow for him, 247 carries. That's only going to get more and more. He's had 4 straight games of at least 21 carries. And the lowest was this past weekend against U of A, and they pulled him. He is the life force of that offense. And as long as he's there, you got a chance. You also have Sam Leavitt, who's playing really good football and is not turning the ball over. He is throwing touchdowns at a high rate right now. 10 touchdown passes against, or no, it's more than that, right? Is it 13 touchdown passes over the last month? Let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep. 13 touchdowns since the bye week. 13 touchdowns against just a single interception over the last 5 games. He's playing great football. Now, keep in mind, a lot of that production has gone to Jordyn Tyson, and there is a massive drop-off from Tyson to the next receiver. From Tyson to Xavier Guillory, you go from 75 catches to 17 catches. You go from 1,101 yards to 291 yards, from 10 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns. That's a huge, huge drop-off that cannot be overstated, how big of a drop-off that is. That's going to be difficult. Good news is Skattebo catches the football well. They get Shimon Mateer involved, and you've got another handful of guys in this cast that can make plays through the air. It doesn't mean that this is not a huge, difficult loss, especially when you consider that Iowa State is going to be a very good pass defense that you have to go up against. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. As of now, this passing game just takes a huge hit. It's huge, man. 2,698 passing yards on the year for the team entirely. 2,444 have come via Sam Leavitt, and 1,101 have come from Jordyn Tyson. Of that total, I don't know what he had in the one game without Leavitt, and I don't know if he's had any receptions when Leavitt was taken out of the game. That's a huge blow. You're talking about what, like 40% of your production through the air. Of your 22 touchdown passes, 10 of them are gone. That's a lot. That's a lot for any team, and it's a lot for a team like the Sun Devils that is really young and dependent on a true established elite wide receiver one. There are quality guys here. I totally believe that with a collective approach that ASU can get by at least for one game, depending on what the rest of the season looks like, without Tyson. And this is something that I said really early in the season. If you go back to the first month of the season for the Sun Devils, one of the criticisms I had with Sam Leavitt was, hey, I need you to spread the ball around more. You're really only going to one guy with Jordyn Tyson. He's getting 10-plus targets a game. There goes 10-plus targets out the door. How are you going to distribute them? This is going to be a really telling game. Cam Skattebo has 35 catches this year. Wouldn't be shocked if he had at least 5 in this game to get himself to 40, maybe even more than that. Mateer has 28. He's easily going to get to 30. Guillory at 17. He gets to 25. I wouldn't be shocked. This is going to be a really interesting game to see how Leavitt adjusts to not having someone that he can hose all of his targets to. And now he's got to distribute a little bit. And it's going to be a very, very important trial here for Sam Leavitt to show where he is at as a quarterback at this time. As a redshirt freshman, he is playing great. He was just graded the highest freshman or redshirt freshman in the entire country. He's terrific. I mean, this is one of the most marvelous debut seasons that a Sun Devils quarterback has ever had. It was better than Jayden Daniels' freshman year by a pretty decent margin. And Jayden Daniels had one of the best freshman seasons of any position for the Sun Devils. Leavitt was terrific. How's he going to respond without Tyson? I have no idea. What I do know is that ASU's got a good ground game. Even beyond Cam Skattebo, Kyson Brown has been phenomenal this year. 338 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 5.1 yards per carry. He has advertised himself very well as the future of this backfield, and Sun Devil fans should have a lot of faith that he is going to be the future of this backfield. There's a really big task up and coming for him. Like I said, he's got 66 carries this season. His season high in carries came back against UCF where he had 18. That was in place of Cam Skattebo. Against Oklahoma State, he had 15. Other than that, never exceeded more than 10 or exceeded more than 8, which was this past week against Arizona, and he did go for a flat 100 yards. He should see no less than 8 carries in this game again. I would anticipate him to get double-digit carries. I would anticipate that him and Skattebo are going to combine for 30 or more carries, and Skattebo could get 30 by himself. They need to go all in on this run game to make sure that the offense can stay steady while Tyson is out. And that could be one game, or it could be multiple games. It could be the rest of the year. We don't know. What we do know, and what I will continue to emphasize throughout the remainder of this podcast, is we only know he is out indefinitely. That could be one game, that could be the whole season, but they're keeping the door open for him to return at some point in time during the season if everything goes right. But our question now is, what's the game plan for Saturday? How are you going to approach a really good Iowa State defense that takes away the passing game, and now you don't have your number one weapon. Well, that's what we're going to talk about coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with America's number one sportsbook, FanDuel. Right now, new customers get a $5 bet, and you will get $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. You just need to go to FanDuel and get started there. You can place all your live bets in the same app, and you will also have everything you need to place those bets in the most positive and competent way possible. You can open it up. You can see a live play-by-play. You can see a play-by-play, a live stat box, and so much more in the same place where you place your bets. You're going to feel nice and confident if you decide to place that live bet. And if it is that $5 bet, if it wins, that can be a player prop. It can be anything. It can be anything. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Just go to FanDuel.com to get started. Never waste a hunch and make everyone more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Wherever you get your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I appreciate all of you for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. Let's go ahead and get back into our conversation now. And we're wondering to ourselves, what's the plan for Saturday? There's a pretty big game coming up for the Sun Devils. It's one of the biggest games in program history. ASU is going to the Big 12 championship game in their first year in the Big 12 conference. There is a chance to go to the college football playoff on the line. The last time ASU had that opportunity was 2014, the first year of the playoff. They didn't even get to the Pac-12 championship game that season because they blew it up in Corvallis towards the end of the year and mailed in the season. Well, this is a huge game. This is your chance to right that wrong. Get back into the playoff. This is also a chance to prove that you are ready to hang out with the big dogs. It's an awesome chance here to show the world that, hey, you put us in the cellar, the legitimate cellar of this conference before we even got a chance, and we proved you wrong. Can you finish the deal? Can you seal the deal? Prove it. It just got a lot more difficult. Iowa State, one of the better teams in the nation this year. Not a lot of press went around them, and it's really unfortunate because that is a really, really good football team, an elite passing defense, and a team that just does a lot of things right. They have their first 10-win season in the history of their program, too. They're riding high right now. They have a really good passing offense. Like I said, they have a good passing defense. They've got several defensive backs that are all-conference players. This is a scary team. And now ASU does not have their number one receiver to go up against one of the better secondaries in the Big 12. How are you going to counter that? Well, to feed a fed horse, you're going to have to run the ball. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about this. This Iowa State team is elite against the pass. They're fine against the run. And an ASU team that runs the ball as well as anybody else in the conference, they're going to be all in on running this football. And you are going to see Cam Skattebo once again be the heart and soul of this offense. It has to be that way. And it's not a bad thing. He's been the heart and soul of the offense all year, and he's put together one of the greatest single seasons in Arizona State Sun Devil history. Any side of the ball, any position, any era. It's been terrific. He is going to have to carry you to this game. Like I said, you do have the depth, though. Kyson Brown has been terrific. He's going to get a lot of carries in this game. We'll see what happens with the Carlos Brooks. He's really kind of been phased out of the game at this point. But with Tyson gone, I would assume you're probably just going to be a really run-heavy team. I'd almost imagine a 70-30 approach. Run plays to pass plays. No one would blame you either. Again, you are a great running football team. And if you don't have an elite wide receiver one, then there's no need to try and force a square peg into a round hole. However, with that being said, that doesn't mean you completely abandon the pass. It's not like you are what we are used to seeing from service academies, like Army and Navy, who would just run the football 95% of the time and mix up a pass here and there. ASU cannot do that. They're not built to be able to do that. They still need to be able to throw the ball this year. They've been an effective team passing the ball this year. Like, you look at the box score, it's not a coincidence that they have had the success they've had. Even if you take away Tyson, I mean, they've just distributed the football pretty well when it comes to touchdowns, I would say. Skattebo, 2 touchdowns. Guillory, 3. Mateer, 5. They've been able to get some guys involved with scoring opportunities. They're just not getting guys involved when it comes to a ton of targets or just a ton of just yards, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at here. This is a game where you're going to have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone and try and get that going a little bit. The biggest thing, though, that I need ASU to remember is you cannot abandon the deep pass in this game. It still has to be there. Tell you what, let's say 4. Let's say you push the ball down the field 4 times. We'll say 30-plus yards down the field. I know, that's crazy. ASU's been able to do that this year. And let's say you go 0 for 4. You don't complete a single one. You try and go deep to Guillory twice, Jake Smith once, and Troy O'Meary once. And none of them are able to connect. You overthrow them. The pass is broken up, whatever. That's fine. The biggest thing is you showed Iowa State you still have the willingness, the aggressiveness, and the confidence to push the ball down the field. You cannot completely take that away just because Tyson is not on the field, or else Iowa State's going to get very confident and they're not going to have to worry about that aspect. They probably don't have to, period. They still have to respect that it could be there. And we've seen big plays down the field. I mean, Guillory had a 61-yard touchdown. That's the longest touchdown reception of a receiver this year. Well, besides Derek Eusebio last week against U of A against the backups. It was a great play. They've got guys to be able to make the plays down the field. They just haven't consistently got them involved. So this is a good opportunity for you to try and do that. But this is also a good opportunity just to showcase that, just because Tyson's not on the field doesn't mean that we're going to be shy about trying to keep you on your toes. Yeah, we may not do it as much. Instead of 5 or 6 shots, maybe we only do 2. Maybe we only do 3. But at least we are showing that we're not scared. We're not going to run away because it's not there. That's all you need to do is just show that you're willing. Because if it is not there, and quite frankly, I don't anticipate it to be there, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be there to win this football game. What you need to win this football game is an offense that is steady and consistent enough to move the ball up and down the field. That's where your run game comes in. Skattebo, Kyson Brown. I would love to see Sam Leavitt start running again. We have not really seen him run since he came back from the rim injury over the last month. It's where we've seen him take off as a passing quarterback, but he is still a true dual threat. And I would love to see Leavitt start running a little bit more again. He's had some decent games since returning when it comes to running. Against UCF, he had 11 carries for 22 yards, and against K-State, he had 5 carries for 42 yards. Otherwise, Oklahoma State, 7 carries, 5 yards. BYU, 8 carries, 8 yards. Arizona, 4 carries, -6 yards with 2 sacks. He's not beating you with his legs the way that he was earlier in the season. And a huge part of that is because he just has the confidence to beat you with his arm. But if it's not there through the air, then you can't pigeonhole yourself and say, well, I can't throw the ball, so all I can do is hand the ball off. No, you have the ability to be a runner. We've seen it all year. It's not there right now, but I don't think Sam has felt the need for it to be there. The need might be there in this game for Sam Leavitt to take over as a runner. It might have to be there for ASU to be able to win this game, is to have Sam Leavitt be able to beat you with his legs. Make sure that they can't key in on Cam Skattebo and Kyson Brown. They have to respect the quarterback being able to roll out and beat you with his legs. They have to respect the other receivers to be able to stretch the field. Just because Tyson is gone doesn't mean that you have to completely avoid some of your strengths. They may not be there, but you can't just throw them out the door. You can't just expect them to not be incorporated in this offense. You can't change up everything drastically in a championship game. If this is a week 3, week 4 game, sure, you can change your offense up for a week or 2. or a month, however long it is. But this is the big game. This is the biggest game of the year. It's the biggest game of the last 10 years, maybe 20 years, going back to 25 years. We can go back to the Rose Bowl. This is a huge game for ASU. You can't suddenly just throw everything that has worked out the window. Even without arguably your best player, you have to find a way to adjust. I trust that they are. Biggest thing, you just need to avoid a shootout with Iowa State. I have faith that you're going to be able to do that. Not because Iowa State isn't a potent offense. They are. They can put up points this year. But I trust ASU's defense enough to be able to keep this within a game that, I don't know, could be decided under 30 points kind of thing. Like, ASU could win this game, let's go 28-27. That's totally feasible for ASU. But if it gets into the high 30s or into the 40s, which Iowa State is capable of, like I said, it's not a bad offense. I just trust ASU to be able to keep it, quote-unquote, low scoring. But if it gets to that point where Iowa State is just piling up points, I don't know if ASU can keep up. That's the problem you're facing right now, is you just need to find a way to be able to keep Iowa State honest in the passing game, and they can pass the ball very well, and you need to be able to keep them as mellow as it can. Control the clock, dictate the pace of the game, run the heck out of the football, do your best not to get in a shootout. I'm not saying ASU can't win it. I'm just telling you my confidence is not there as much if ASU has to throw the ball to win this game. With Tyson out, I just don't know. And against a really good secondary, I just don't know. What do we do for the short term? Well, the short term, we already know. Tyson is out for this week. Short term is also the rest of the season. What about the long term? What do we do for next year? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about our friends over at Game Time and Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets for your favorite teams in any sport to see them live even easier, because Game Time Picks is going to filter out the fluff and show you incredible deals on great seats, and you won't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Their curation process makes it easy to save on not just sports, but concerts, comedy, theater events, and more. Toggle their all-in pricing feature. It'll show you the total upfront. That way, there's no surprise fees at checkout the way that some other places will try and get you. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. You'll know what to expect when you arrive that way. Their lowest price guarantee is easily the best part about Game Time, and they're going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Of course, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service in the ticketing industry as well. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. One last time, wherever you get your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in to make us your first listen of the day. Let's wrap this bad boy up. Short term, long term. Short term, we already know. He is out for this game. He is out for the Big 12 title game at the bare minimum. What happens after that, I don't know. If you advance, if you do manage to take down Iowa State and you make it to the college football playoff, you are playing it by ear. We looked at this on Saturday night for the live show that we did after ASU throttled U of A. If you missed that, tune in. It is not a podcast. It is a roast session. It is laid back. It was a little longer, too. We kicked back and we had a good time just shooting the stuff. Check it out. It's very different. It's a good time. Put it on in the background. You'll love it. But one of the things we talked about was if Tyson is out for a long time, we'll say multiple weeks, you just need to play it by ear. If there is an opportunity for him to come back in the playoff, you just need to make sure that you're doing everything right. We do not know the severity. A reminder, we do not know the severity of the injury. All that we are told, it is indefinite. We don't know if it's a broken bone. We don't know if it's a strain. We don't know if there's a tear. We don't know anything. It's just indefinite. And that's all we're going to know more than likely. Kenny Dillingham and college coaching in general are not obligated to tell you about the specifics of injuries the way that pro sports are. We never had a distinct idea what happened to Cam. We had a really good feeling that it was a rib injury for Sam Leavitt when those two missed games. That's all. All we know is Jordyn Tyson was in a sling, some kind of injury to either his arm or potentially his collarbone. That's all we know. So he could be out this game. That's fine. If you advance to the college football playoff, you are not playing another game until the 21st and 22nd, which is not this weekend, but 2 more weekends from now. That would give you a little less than a month of recovery time. That'd be three weeks and change for him to be able to heal up and get ready, which, who knows? Go back with the Sam Leavitt thing. When we knew it was a rib injury, they gave us a 2 to 4 week timetable for his return. He missed 1 game. ASU lucked out and had a bye week, and he was back the next week with essentially 2 sort of 3 weeks of recovery, depending on how you want to look at the weeks, I suppose. This is a similar situation for Jordyn Tyson. Yeah, he's going to miss this game, but if ASU advances to the college football playoff, and if they have to host a game, so they would have to play that first opening round if they not even if they host a game, if they are just not given a bye week as a conference champion, which you're going to need Boise State to lose. So we are all big UNLV fans on Friday night. Make sure you turn into that game. UNLV all the way. If you don't get the bye, then he could be back. I don't know if you would want to rush him back. If you do manage to get a bye, you don't play until the end of the month. You would not play until those New Year's Six Bowls, which would give you a month to heal at that point, which is great news for whatever it is. Could get him back into the lineup at that point in time. That's awesome. If ASU does not win the Big 12 championship game, in my personal opinion, shut him down. That's it. You're done. It's fine. He just had an 1,100-yard season, double-digit touchdowns. And you're going to play a good bowl game, but ultimately a meaningless bowl game for ASU. It's not worth it. Tyson could declare for the draft this year if he wanted to. I think he should come back for 1 more year so he has 2 full years of tape instead of 1 full year of tape. Potentially an even better season in 2025 with another year under his belt of working with Sam Leavitt and this offense, and another chance to contend for a title and all sorts of good stuff. There's a lot more for him to play for in the future than there is for some whatever bowl game. Whatever, and it could be a really good one. It could be the Alamo Bowl or the Holiday Bowl. But in the grand scheme of things, that just doesn't matter for Jordyn Tyson, who's got potential next level expectations. So if that's the case, don't worry about it. And that's where we get into the long term as we wrap this up. You need to remember this is not a win now team. This isn't a 1-year thing. This team is built to last. 35 of 44 players who are for your starting 11 on each side and the backups to those starting 11 can return next year. You've already had several guys who are confirming they're returning. Shimon Mateer, Justin Wadley, Javen Robinson, to name a few, are some of the guys who are coming back. Ben Coleman, they're going to return a lot of this team. Sam Leavitt, probably coming back. Jordyn Tyson, very good chance to come back for this team. This is not a 1-year thing. ASU is built for success for at least 1 more year. And with the way that they're recruiting this program right now, they're set up for success for a very long time. So there's no need to feel like, oh, this is it. We have to win this year. So even if you do advance to the college football playoff, if you think there is a chance that Tyson could re-aggravate the injury, more than like a 5% chance, if there's a decent chance, don't rush it. If you beat Iowa State without him, that tells me you can beat good competition without him, without Jordyn Tyson on the field. So why would you rush him back to potentially re-aggravate the injury and knock him out even longer and potentially impact him into the next season? Play it by ear. You don't beat Iowa State, you know what? You're good. Tyson, you had a phenomenal season, one of the best in the last 5 years. We're going to shut you down. We're going to get you even healthier and better for next year. You beat Iowa State, you reevaluate. Okay, Tyson, it looks like we could use another 3 weeks of healing. We've got roughly that. Let's see how you're feeling. If you think you're good to go, and if you get cleared by the medical staff, we'll play you. If not, we're going to hold you back, and we're going to make sure that you're good to go because we don't want to screw up anybody. Not you, not the team, not the future, nothing. You reevaluate. But the biggest thing you need to remember is that this is not a player you want to force back. This is not a team that should feel the need to force a player of Jordyn Tyson's caliber back. Take your time. It's not a one-year window. It's not like first team that came to mind. No disrespect at all. It's not like a 2013 Auburn team or was it 2021 or 2022 TCU team where just everything came together at the right time. Some people may look at it this way, but this is a team that's built to last. This isn't a Cinderella team. This is a team that just woke up their potential a lot quicker than anybody thought they were. So this isn't it. This isn't it. Don't stress. Don't fret about getting Tyson back out there quicker. And Jordyn, if you're listening to this, take your time, man. Don't feel like you need to force yourself back out there because this isn't the only time you're going to contend. This is a really good football team. And you've got a very bright future ahead of you too. Make sure that you are measuring yourself and measuring that you are taking care of everything you need to take care of before you start worrying about everything else. Everything is going to go the way that it needs to go. ASU, who knows? Maybe they do have some magic run in the playoff this year and Jordyn is able to get back. Or maybe you just play for a whatever bowl game. We may have seen the last of Tyson. We may not have. The bottom line is ASU just needs to remember, and Jordyn Tyson needs to remember, and the fans need to remember, don't rush this. He's too good of a player. He's got a minimum of 2 more years of eligibility. Don't rush it. We're going to be fine. If you can beat Iowa State without him, you can beat anyone without him. Not necessarily, but you get what I'm saying. What do you guys think? Do you want him back onto the field as soon as possible? Are you good with shutting him down for the year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You can always hit me up on Twitter as well at Richie Brads36 and the podcast at LO_Sundables. Wherever you're getting your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll get an update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in to make us your first listen of the day. And of course, a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Thanks again, guys, for pivoting with me. We will be back again tomorrow at a normal time to go through a Victory Monday on a Tuesday. That means the good and bad from this game against U of A. We'll have some takeaways from the end of the season, and we've got some game balls to hand out. So I'll see you tomorrow to go through all of that. But until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.